Tonight, before our main speaker, Dr. Dewey, talks, we've got Casey from Range Control and Heather from KHM, who are going to come and talk to us about the Whirl Bay paddling area of the Pender area and why it's now going to be closed. So do you guys want to come up or give it a shout? So please use the microphone.
Thank you, sir. Did you want to start? Good evening, everyone. I won't use that. My voice carries. My name is Master One Officer Zaharoff, and I'm the Range Control Officer for Canadian Forces Base at Esquimalt. And Heather here is from the King's Harbour Master at the Port Authority in Esquimalt. So the relation between our two organizations is we both work for port operations and the emergency services branch. So I'm here.
Everybody's okay? No?
No?
You'll have to use the mic.
Yep,
sorry.
that's fine.
A lot of old people.
Yep. I mean, I can yell pretty loud if that's what you need. All right. Alrighty. So we're here because a couple months back I met Mr. Alan Campbell. I'm not sure if he's in tonight. Hello, sir. I must say, Mr. Campbell, of all the trespassers I've had to deal with, you are the most polite. So thank you for that. But yeah, we're here mostly because of that interaction. Now, understanding that Siska isn't in trouble or anything like that, but you do have quite a large club, and we're trying to get the word out to as many people as possible. But essentially, there is this misconception that the DND property down at Rocky Point is somehow for public use. And to make things clear, this is not a change in policy. We're not closing anything. It was, in fact, never open to public use. Okay? And don't get me wrong, and Alan and I spoke about this as well. I certainly understand it is a very beautiful area, especially Whirl Bay. But as I told them, my chief concern, once again, especially with Whirl Bay and the other areas on the south part of Rocky Point, is that these are demolition ranges. Okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, it is a non-zero chance that you can encounter unexploded ordnance in the area, okay? Safety regulations weren't as tight back in World War I, and it is not uncommon for base personnel or environmental personnel working for the base who are conducting business down at Rocky Point to come across quite large pieces of unexploded ordnance. So if you think of the old sea mines with the spines to destroy submarines, some of those are just sitting in the woods out there, okay? So I do understand that Whirl Bay is very beautiful, but I cannot guarantee your safety if you come ashore in that area, nor any other area at Rocky Point. For those of you who may not be aware, okay, the Rocky Point, the base portion down there, is in fact a Canadian Forces ammunition depot, all right? It's a magazine, more specifically, it's a naval magazine. So there is quite a lot of ordnance down there, all right? So on top of all the other controlled access and rules that would have to be engaged with, would the public or members of the civilian public coming onto base property have to be engaged with, all right? There are those additional kind of safety concerns, all right? So I understand it's distressing news to hear that you can't stop on base property and have lunch, right? And I understand it's quite a far away from one end of Rocky Point to another, but this is in fact government policy and always has been, hence all the signage and things like that. Now, it's very much, yes, you are still allowed to pass through the area. I know Alan and I spoke about this, that your group regularly checks the maritime notices and stuff for blasting. Okay, but another issue is kind of down here at Christopher Point, right here, okay, which is like the destruction range. So there's 3 demolitions ranges there. One's on Betnick Island, one is Whirl Bay, which is an underwater demolitions range. So underwater ordnance, things like that, okay. But the destruction range at Christopher Point, which is that middle red circle, is frequently used by the Fleet Dive Unit for ordnance disposal, okay? Now, that can happen at very short notice, okay? It's not terribly frequent, all right, but it does happen often enough. Which is to say that you could be in the middle of a paddle and suddenly that range will turn live, all right? And then if you're within that red circle, you are certainly within the blast danger area. And if you're nearby, you're definitely going to hear the blast, all right? And by nearby, I mean a couple of kilometers away. So all that to be said of just, please do not trespass on D&D property down at Rocky Point or any other area, including Heels Range for anybody who likes to walk their dog over there. I'm not sure if there's any of those offenders in this audience. All right.
Likely.
I'm gonna have to find the dog walking club next, I suppose. And the mushroom pickers, apparently. It's gonna be a busy summer. But suffice to say that, no, you cannot just come onto Canadian Forces property without permission, all right? And I know there was a bit of a misunderstanding that the club thought they had permission from the previous base commander through a letter. What I would say to that is, within military parlance, a letter denotes a certain level of correspondence, which would be signed by the commander, a formal letterhead, all right? As well, that permission would cease once a new base commander has come in, which has had happen, and we are going to be getting another base commander very shortly. So any misconception about there being permission to come onto the base, I'm kind of here to dispel that, all right? As far as, sir?
Could you clarify, not going ashore, but transiting through, kayaking between Bentig Island and the mainland? Is it safe to transit that passage if there's no ordnance activity underway?
On the water?
Yeah.
Yes, all right. So as I was saying, so these red circles are the danger areas for those ranges. Okay, yeah, I know. We brought several maps to share amongst the group as well, but basically, if you check your NOTAMs, the southern portion of the CFAD, Rocky Point, is where all three ranges are. Those red circles are the danger area templates. If you are outside of that during blasting, you are safe. When regular demolitions training is being conducted, there will be normal notices, things like that, and it's perfectly safe to pass through them, all right? And normally there will be security boats, sentry boats out there to double check and make sure, because the Navy does check before they actually blow up bombs, just to make sure everyone knows that as well, all right? But yes, it is safe to pass through there as long as no blasting occurs. But like we said, it's mostly the coming of shore, and especially in those areas, because like I said, I can't guarantee that you might not encounter an unexploded ordnance. Sir?
Casey, I got a couple of quick questions.
Yes.
The first one is about the flag that is on the pole that's at the west end of that passage.
Yes.
We've come through there, and there's been some miscommunication where we thought we were clear, and it wasn't the case. But on a windless day, you can't see that flag because it's not flying. If you had two posts, if you had one at the other end of that entrance, that would solve the problem.
Yes, I am currently foisting additional safety regulations upon my commanders as well. I'm not just giving you guys a hard time, I'm giving it to the base commander and the base team as well. We are looking at having additional buoys put in the water as well.
Casey, could you repeat just the briefly?
Oh, sorry, the question was that sometimes the red flag at one of the entrances is hard to see, and maybe an additional flag would help. I will certainly look into that, sir. Afterwards, show me the location on the map, and I will definitely bring that up.
Second question, you've got three circles drawn on the map up there, which delineate where our danger zones. But if you look west, you've got a bunch of small bays there. They're still on D&D land. Are we okay to land there and have lunch?
No. So, once again, the question was, yes, the large red circles are the danger areas. There are other bays on Rocky Point that are not in the danger areas. Can you stop there? Unfortunately, the answer is no. All right? The public cannot come onto D&D facility property without permission. Yes, ma'am.
I understand what you're saying about landing, but I'm confused about what you're saying about the passage over the water. Because you're saying, yes, we can but then you're outlining that there's 3 circles which are danger zones.
Yes.
So in other words, we have to depend on us communicating with DND or DND making their needs clear.
So when blasting training is to take place, all right, those notices will go out in NOTAM and in Maritime notices. So it is on the group to check those notices, but there will also be safety boats out on the water on those days. Flags will be up, etc., to divert traffic out of that area. But yes, when there's no live fire blasting happening, those areas are safe to traverse. It's only when ranges are booked, or as I said, when the fleet dining unit has an emergency disposal, which can happen very quickly. Like I said, sometimes you get a call and 40 minutes later they have to dispose of something.
I think the fact that you're heavily armed changes the dynamic of these conversations.
Who?
The fact that you're heavily armed changes the dynamic.
Well, I'm certainly not armed.
I have 2.
I'm handed right now, but I'm not armed.
The relationship between Siska and the DND is like a dysfunctional marriage. Siska desperately is trying to figure out what the needs are, and the other party, DND, is completely incapable of communicating clearly. We've got one letter here, we've got a red flag, and then we're screamed at when there's no flag. We've got to get in touch with one, we're going to look at one website, then we have to look at another website, then we have to look at both websites. Then we're supposed to get in touch with this person. Then, oh no, it's this person. So you can understand if we're a little bit frustrated.
I certainly do, ma'am. I 100% agree that the Canadian Forces is a Byzantine bureaucracy sometimes. But Ginny and I spoke. There is the landline and the duty cell phone to range control. So if you are uncertain at any time, you can always call those numbers to check if the ranges are live or if there's any training planned. As to the notices, that's on the range users to put out, and we will certainly look into that. I will also investigate, like you said, this flag situation. I won't lie. The base is somewhat truant in flags, warnings, fencing, some other things like that, mostly due to budgetary restraints over the last several decades, I will say. But I am going to be foisting them across the line as well. So yes, I will certainly look into ensuring that these flags are up, because I will tell you this, as a very experienced range safety officer, one of your duties is to make sure that the flags are up, the sentries are out, and the gates are closed. So if the flags are not up and the blasting is taking place, then that means that the range group has made an error. So yes, we will certainly look into that. I do understand it's frustrating though, trying to make contact with the right people. This is why Heather and I have come here, so you know who the right people are. When it comes to all things range related or range training area related, I would be the authority for the base. All right, I work directly for the base OPSO and the base commander and the King's Harbour master. I'll just go to someone else real quick there. Ma'am.
I love the idea of the boys. We went around, raced rocks one time, and then came back around, and then we saw the flag.
Yes.
So it's a bit late then, so if we could,
Yes,
have.
I understand that.
That would be great.
Yes, and we actually just had one break off and go ashore down at Betnick yesterday, so we are working on getting more boys. This is also why we have the sentry boats go out though.
There was one near the back there.
Yes, in the back, ma'am.
Yeah, this is great. It's a lot of information here. Is there a way that we can get this in writing so that we can communicate it to everyone, including people that aren't here now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so
I'll hand over to Heather.
Thank you. My name is Heather Skippen. I am the harbor official for Esquimalt and Nanoose Harbours. So both harbors, I am also the Transport Canada Enforcement Officer. So now that you've all been warned, I will be writing the tickets that are federal contravention tickets that will be issued that go to ICBC the same way a police officer would write you a ticket. I, however, am very lazy. I don't like writing tickets. I would prefer compliance. But as for information, on the side here, I've got little pamphlets that are for Esquimalt Harbour. I also have a couple for Nanoose. If anyone wants one, they can let me know and I can put them out. The new generation uses these little QR codes here. If you have a camera on your cell phone, light it up to this, and you will go straight to our website. This information that's on here assumes that you're on the ocean and you may or may not have data, so it's trying to give you absolutely everything you need to get into Esquimalt Harbour. It tells you who you have to call. It tells you speeds, not that kayakers are ever going to exceed 5 knots in our harbor.
I think Alan might be able to.
Alan, you never know. It will also tell you who to call in case of emergency, giving a wide berth to vessels underway as opposed to vessels alongside. Staying 100 meters or 300 feet away from all DND assets, regardless of whether that is Rocky Point, Esquimalt Harbour proper, or any of the DND assets like the Navy buoys. Now, what we are saying here as far as Rocky Point being a DND asset, it is a defense establishment. DND, if you look at a regular chart, which I actually brought, very small, but it's an official chart I will leave here. This portion is all Rocky Point. This portion is all DND. And the reason that that is important, the reason that Rocky Point as a DND asset is important is it is a defense establishment. At no point is the public ever allowed to access a defense establishment by water, including the foreshore, which means low tide. No one is to come ashore. We have been lax in the past about enforcing this due to world events, if anyone has a television or radio. We are starting to see a situation arise where Canada is having to stand up more exercises with its military. More budget has been given to the Canadian military. More exercises will happen, more demolitions will happen, more on-water presence will happen, and we will not always be able to notify the public in a timely manner. So the first part of our job is going to be educating and informing the public. The more of the public that we can educate and inform, the more you know to reach out to us. Also on the side, my business card. You've got 3 different phone numbers on here, 2 different email addresses, our website, any contacts you need to make. The cell phones are always on me, so I will answer them. Please don't call me at 3 in the morning. I will answer the phone, but you may not get the answer you're looking for. I'm just saying. Also, as a point of interest, there is a 1-year time delay on any enforcement action that I might take. My husband used to be a Siska member, showed me a photograph of him lunching on the beach at Bentink Island, and I said, "When was that photo taken?" And he looked at me and he says, "Oh, I don't know, about 1.5 years ago." I'm like, shoot, you could have been my first ticket. Showing me photo evidence, but no, alas, the year had expired. So I will be in this outfit. In the event you ever see me out and about, I'm going to be speaking to all of the kayak clubs in Victoria. I'm also going to be speaking to all of the yacht clubs, all of the mushroom pickers, dog walkers, and everything else that we encounter, because we're educating and informing. I want to have compliance, and the best way that we're going to do that is just to let people know that the rules are now being enforced. They've always been there, but we now have to take a more serious an aspect to this whole world event that we have going on right now. We need your support to do that, because we're only going to get compliance if everybody's on the same page. Are there, before we go on, I've got a thing. One of your gentlemen was talking to me about port and passages. Where are you, sir? The port and passages booklet, are you? Wait, he's waving at the back. He's in the kitchen making coffee.
Good man.
That fine gentleman over there was talking to me about a reference that kayakers can use called Ports and Passages that allows you to get information on where you're going to be kayaking into and different things. This is a booklet called Sailing Directions. It's very similar, and even though it's sailing directions, it lists all marinas, passages, entrances and whatnot, and it explains in here in detail about where you can go for information about certain areas. If you're looking in the sailing directions under Rocky Point, it's telling you go to F43, which is one of the notice to mariners, and it explains what Rocky Point is and the places to avoid. Looking at charts, looking at the notice to mariners, looking at local information, calling Heather Skippen at the King's Harbour Master, calling range control directly, and you have phone numbers online. Where would they get those from?
Yes, they are, and I'll hand them out.
Perfect. So if you have any questions, phone call direct would be the best course of action to take. Like Casey was saying, sometimes we just don't have enough warning. Sometimes one of the incidents a couple weeks ago was 40 minutes. We do send patrol boats out in that event. If there's someone in the red circles, they can't do any exploding ordnance. We're not going to put anyone in danger. The safety of the public, the safety of our DND and CAF force is paramount. So we want everyone to be safe. We want everyone to enjoy. We want everyone to come into Esquimalt Harbour and love it. As a side note, kayakers, please don't go under jetties. We spoke about the 100-meter distance around. We'd really, really appreciate if you would stick to that. We know kayaks are small. We know that you can go places that normal water vessels cannot. Please don't go under jetties. I cannot stress this enough. Does anyone have any questions for me? Oh, good heavens. All right, where shall we start? Right here in the front, sir.
I just wondered, you got 3 circles there, but there's only 1 circle on the government marine charts, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Why is it different?
Well, all I can say to that is,
So, okay, the question was, we have 3 circles, only 1 on the government chart, the HSO, Hydrographic Services chart. Why is there a difference?
so what I would say to that is that this product is a government navigational chart. This particular product, all right, this is a Canadian Army range training area map. So it has not only the demolition ranges, but all training facilities on there. Why the navigational one does not have it, I could not tell you at this time. That is something we are looking into as well, though.
Let me just point out that the number one thing for getting what you want, the compliance, is clear communication.
Absolutely, and that's why we're here.
Feeling is that there's another example where it's just difficult for poor little us to get in our little time.
Yes.
Now in the water, and now it sounds to me like I'm just not going to bother because I've got like 6 different people I've got to call before I can even venture near the place.
I hate to say it, but that is what I would prefer, sir. I don't want to come off as rude or anything, but we will do what we can to get that information. But this is also why we're coming here to talk to you directly, because there has been a breakdown in communications between the DND and the public in the local area, especially with regards to this and some other things. This is why we're coming to give you, basically from the horse's mouth, the information. We've brought several copies of this map as well. But like I said, Canadian Army Range Control is not in charge of Government of Canada hydrographic maps, unfortunately. Sir?
A few years ago, it was very easy to find out if there was going to be any activity on the range.
Yes.
You could just go to the Machosen website, and they always listed the dates when the range was going to be closed, because there was going to be activities. Is that still a reliable
You might want to
source?
say the question first.
Yes, so the question was, there used to be a Machosen website that had the days the range would be live. By Machosen, do you mean like range control at Albert Head?
Machosen municipal website.
So apparently the Machosen municipality had a website?
They do have a website, but on there, they listed when the range was active.
So once again, I'm not in any way affiliated with Machosen municipality.
We've been asked to speed along a little bit because we need to get on with the program. Is there a last question? And barring that, I can stand at the back if anyone wants to sneak over to me and answer questions while the presentation is happening if you want. Casey does also have to go, but
I
I
can
will
make
stand
the
at the back if you want.
I can answer Norm's question
Oh,
Okay.
from experience.
please answer.
Okay, so that always used to be very
reliable, it used to be reliable, but because there's more short notice things happening, the Machosen website doesn't keep up to date. So you have to go to those other numbers. I would just scrap that one altogether, because there's more things happening at shorter notice. So they usually depend on life changes.
I think it would, so I would say in short, the two easiest ways would be to check the NAVOR or the maritime orders or maritime notices. Failing that, please call Range Control Direct for anything down at Rocky Point related. But yeah, I will be at the back with Heather if anyone wants to come over during the presentation, but I think we've taken enough.
The other thing I'll also mention, we've got 3 of these charts.
You have more now, right?
So
I brought several more. We can always make more.
The information that they've talked about will be on pamphlets. Casey and Heather, thank you very much for coming out tonight. This is valuable information, and we should pay attention to what you said to us.
I would like you to pay attention.
I mean, how much are the tickets?
They start at $250 to a maximum cap of $5,000.
Okay. So that, you could buy a new boat for that.
And by the way, that's also a daily amount. So if you get to your $5,000 maximum and then continue that infraction the following day, that's another $5,000.
Okay.
Please don't do that. I hate paperwork.
So again, thank you very much for both of you for coming out tonight. All of this information, plus a copy of the chart, is going to be in the newsletter that Tony's putting together, so you can check it out for yourself personally.